Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's live session on transforming mindset for entrepreneurial success. If you are an entrepreneur, a business leader looking to break through mental barriers, turn setbacks into stepping stones, and ultimately achieve greater success, you're in the right place. Quick question before we dive in. Anybody in the chat, what's one mindset challenge that you faced as an entrepreneur, right? Drop it in the chat. Could be fear, failure, imposter syndrome, procrastination, you name it. Just one, throw it in there. All right. So as we get started, guys, I want to tell you a little story about a guy named Mark, right? Mark was a very talented entrepreneur, super sharp, super smart, hardworking, full of ideas, right? Um, there's just one thing kind of holding him back, right? And that was self-doubt. He'd spent months developing business ideas. He knew the market, he had a solid plan, and people were really interested in what he had to sell, right? Then one day, he gets an email from an investor who wanted to meet. This was a huge opportunity for Mark, right? But instead of feeling excited, Mark started to feel something else, right? Starts thinking, am I really ready for this, right? What if they ask me something I don't know, right? What if they say no? So instead of moving forward, Mark hesitates, right? He overthinks everything, every little detail. He rewrote his pitch a dozen times, right? And by the time he finally responds to the investor, they've moved on, right? That stung, you know, but it also made him realize something, right? He wasn't being held back by a lack of knowledge or skill, right? He was being held back by his own mindset, right? So he made some small changes. He made some small but powerful changes, right? Instead of second guessing himself, he started saying yes to things the first time, right? And figuring things out later, right? Next opportunity comes around, he goes to a marketing event, right? Full of potential investors and partners. He goes. Even though he didn't feel completely prepared, he still went, right? He started focusing on what he did know instead of what he didn't, right? Fast forward a year, Mark's business is thriving, not because he magically gained more experience or because he stopped waiting for the perfect moment, right? It's because he stopped waiting for that perfect moment and started taking action, right? So the mindset shift that Mark made is understanding that you don't have to be 100% ready to take action, right? Growth comes from doing, not waiting. If if you can get 80% of the results today, isn't that better than waiting until you're 100% ready, which maybe never, right? So go out and do. Right? Sorry about that. So what is mindset, right? Mindset is just the belief. These are the set of beliefs that shape how you respond to various challenges and opportunities, right? Uh, there's essentially two types of mindsets, right? There's the fixed mindset, which is I can't do this. I'm not smart enough to do this. If I fail, I'm done, right? Then there's the growth mindset, which says I may not know it yet, but I can learn, right? Every failure has its lesson. And successful entrepreneurs have a growth mindset. Now, let's talk about limiting beliefs. Okay. Those little lies that we tell ourselves that hold us back. Here's a personal story. When I was first starting my business, I put everything I had into my first launch, right? Spent months planning, training, marketing, perfecting the offer, right? Then I go to launch, crickets. I was devastated. I started thinking, what if I'm not cut out for this, right? What if this is proof that I'm not meant to be a business owner? I'm not meant to be an entrepreneur. I don't have what it takes, right? I almost quit, but I didn't. Instead, I just took a step back, realized what went wrong, realized my messaging was off. I realized my target audience wasn't set clear, right? I'd skipped some key marketing steps. So what I do, I made these adjustments, relaunched, and things are going a lot better now. Are they where I want it to be? No, but I continue to make those adjustments until it gets exactly where I want it to be. So the mindset shift here is that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the path to success, right? So embrace your failures, learn from them. So how do we overcome these limiting beliefs, right? How do we change that? Here's what helped me reframe my thinking. First, cognitive restructuring, right? Instead of thinking, I can't do this, I just asked myself, hey, what if I do this? What if I can do this? Right? What if I succeed? What is that going to look like for me? I start thinking about the positive side of things, right? Second thing I move to is positive affirmations, right? So it's instead of saying I'm not good enough, I just repeated, hey, I'm constantly growing, learning, and improving, right? I can't do this now, or I may not have the skill set to do this today, but if I continue growing, which I do, and continue to learn, I will know that, right? And then finally, sometimes it's just about taking action, right? Sometimes the best way to overcome fear is to just do whatever it is that you got to do, but do it scared, right? Sometimes that's the only way to get through it, and you learn. Worst case scenario, it was just as bad as you were expecting. Best case scenario, there's nothing to be worried about, right? So the mindset shift that we need to make here is the struggle that you're facing today is building the strength that you'll need for tomorrow, right? So what's a belief that you guys want to change? Just go ahead and type it in the chat. All right. So as we're thinking about these things, I want you to imagine this, right? So you're on a road trip. You start driving, but you have no map, no GPS, no destination, right? How far do you think you're going to get? Right? Not very far, right? Yet this is exactly how some people run their businesses, right? Without clear goals. So I'm going to talk to you now about the best way to write your goals, right? This is the most successful entrepreneurs tend to follow the same system. It's called SMART goal method, right? It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, right? So what does that mean? So specific. Instead of saying, I want to make more money, I need to say, I want to increase my revenue by 20% this quarter, right? Has to be specific, right? It has to be measurable. That's the M. How will you track progress, right? You need to define clear success metrics. I want to increase my sales revenue by 20% this quarter. I now have an amount and a time frame, right? It has to be achievable. The A for achievable, right? Stretch yourself. Be realistic, but stretch yourself. It has to be achievable. So there's no point in setting a goal that you can't reach. It needs to be relevant, right? Set goals that fit into your larger goals, fit goals that fit into your values, right? How does this tie in to your overall vision, right? And finally, they have to be time bound. So you need to set deadlines, right? A goal without a deadline is just a dream. Again, so SMART, right? Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Okay. The next thing that you want to do with your goals is break them down, right? Your big vision needs small milestones in order to track progress, right? So for example, I have a big goal. I want to launch a new product, right? Well, what are the milestones that it's going to take to launch this new product, right? Milestone 1, well, we got to research the target audience. Then what do we do? Well, we got to develop a prototype, right? Then we have to test and refine. Then we launch and go to market. Right? All of those are steps within our goal, and all of those can be set up as goals. And set up as a SMART goal, you'll be able to track the progress to make sure that you get to the big goal of launching your product on time. So how do we start turning setbacks into stepping stones, right? How do we shift our perspective on setbacks? Right? There's 3 key things that we can do to shift our perspective, right? Number 1 is we need to adopt a growth mindset, right? Failure is nothing more than data, right? It tells you what works and what doesn't work. We need failure in order to learn how to do things, right? Second, when something happens, we analyze what happened, right? We have to understand, ask why did this happen? What could I have done differently to prevent that from happening? So what am I going to do next time, right? And keep moving forward. Every success story includes failure. So when your failure comes, it just means that success is closer, right? So think about a time when you failed, right? What'd you learn from it? Right? Drop it in the chat. So we've talked about mindset shifts, right? But how do we make them stick, right? So we've talked about how we shift our mindsets, but how do we keep that? And how do we keep the momentum from these, right? What I found is daily practice for success is required, right? It takes about 90 days to form a habit. So focusing on these every day for the next months, right? It takes a while. Um, but focusing on these will create habits, right? So the first thing that I do every morning is I start my day off with an affirmation, right? And goal setting. So I talk to myself about what a great day it's going to be, how great I'm going to do today, right? And then I set my goals. I set my goals every day. I have a list of 10 goals that I write down every day. I recommend that all of you start with at least 2 or 3 and just write them every day. By writing them, they stay front and center, they stay top of mind. So every decision you're making throughout that day gears you towards getting closer to that goal, right? Second thing I did, I decided that lifelong learning has to be one of my main objectives in life, right? So reading books, listening to podcasts, taking courses, watching webinars, right? All of these things allow you to continue to learn. And in order to grow, we have to have that background knowledge. Finally, something that really helped me was finding a mentor or a coach, right? Surround yourself with successful, driven people, people who have done what you've done before. We all have what in our minds are completely unique businesses, right? There's that works for you, but it won't work for me. But at the same time, the challenges that we face as entrepreneurs and as business owners, there's almost always somebody out there that's faced that same challenge, right? So find a mentor, right? Find somebody who's experienced some of the failures before you've experienced them, so they can help you tread that water, right? And then finally, get out in your network, get out in your community, right? Your environment shapes you. You can be a part of that environment. Join community service clubs, right? Be involved in various networking opportunities, right? Get your name out there, right? Your environment shapes you, so be part of it. All right, so let's just do a quick recap. We talked about a couple of things here. First thing, your mindset is going to determine your success, right? Second, we need to reframe all of our limiting beliefs into powerful motivators, right? We need to set small goals or smart goals, right? Stay on track, right? And turn our failures into stepping stones. And then finally, we need to adopt daily habits for long-term success. Now, here's your challenge, right? All right, drop in the chat one action step that you're going to take today to shift your mindset. Okay, just one. We can do anything, but we can't do everything. So today we're going to focus on one step that we can do. All right, drop it in the chat. If you guys are interested in more, let's stay connected. I'll be doing more of these. All right, follow me for more insights. And if you're serious about leveling up, reach out and we can talk, right? Before you go, hit the like and share this with somebody who needs to hear it, right? Hey guys, keep pushing forward and I'll see you next time.